Hello and welcome to the crowd sale for Adventure Realms, specifically the Time Trigger. I'm basically going to kind of go over an overview of all the new stuff that would come in this expansion, and basically talk about some of the new things and all the add-ons that this expansion would bring to the game. As you can see here in the guild row, we've got some new cards. We've got the random encounters. These are a bunch of monster cards that will actually be shuffled into this main deck here, and then they will randomly come out. Hence the name Random Encounter, just like the old school JRPGs like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, things of that nature. We've also got some new cards that you can see here, like the Arrowmancer and the Snake Charmer. And we see on that Arrowmancer a blue flag. What does that refer to? Well, let's talk about it. Here, we've got the main board. I've also included the Last Fantasy board, which is this corruption board. This will also be part of the crowd sale as well. And on the right side of the board here is the new Overworld board. Now this is going to be here on the right side. It's going to introduce a new Overworld track. And what you're basically trying to do is gain these, basically they're called time shards. And that's going to be those little white diamonds there. And as you kind of go through the Overworld, you're going to be collecting more and more and more. And at the end of your passing phase, you may make a decision to take your token, like this right here, and return it back to the start, which is Mistvale. Then wherever you basically took that token, so say we decided to take this blue token back, which would be our vessel, I would take it from Havenfall. I would get 4 time shards, which is kind of like a currency that you would keep in your head. It's not a physical currency because I'm going to be either spending them all right now, or as many as I can. I don't get any change back. And that will let me go to these different eras as I travel through time. As I travel through these different eras, I'm going to be gaining bigger, better rewards, from treasure cards to new heroes to adventure cards, even the new time elemental stone, which is really awesome, like random wild elemental stone. And why that would be relevant is because now this game introduces something called an elemental tech. These elemental tech cards, I'll try to get rid of this glare here, but basically these elemental techs, everybody will have this card, and everybody will have their own separate card, of course. And if you gain an elemental stone, like you normally would, at any point during your turn, you may socket or insert one of those stones into one of these slots here. So if I had the fire elemental stone, I can insert it for a lava strike. And for one free action and for just that one time, I'll be able to gain 1 treasure right then and there. Or if I had the green earth elemental stone, I can do Terra Storm, and Terra Storm would allow me to steal 2 adventure cards from a player. There's just a bunch of different ways to kind of interact with other players or gain new abilities and things of that nature. There's also new monster cards that you'll see, introducing more treasure cards. And why there's such an emphasis now on treasure cards is because they have all been completely revamped. So as you can see, some of these here, well, these 2 specific ones say, if I've got at least 4 rank in the Cleric's Guild or 3 ranks in the Cleric's Guild, I can go ahead and exhaust this card here, and that will allow me to gain 1 food and 1 adventure card. Or with this Lazarus Hammer, I can exhaust it to gain 2 food. And there's all sorts of new treasure cards, but the best part about these is they stay in front of you. They basically refresh at the beginning of every round, and during your turn as a free action, you may exhaust one of these as long as you meet the requirements to gain that ability from that treasure. So really cool ways of just gaining treasures and then interacting with even more cards for more effects and more combos and all that fun stuff during the game. And of course, in the game, there's going to be all sorts of new heroes, like I said. There's going to be even a ton of new adventure cards from new quest items, and of course magic, with some amazing art from Elfin, who's an amazing pixel artist. Fantastic stuff as well from that. There are going to be 8 new heroes, which were introduced, or rather leaders, which were introduced in the Last Fantasy expansion. So if you do not have that expansion, you have 8 brand new leaders to choose from, which are really cool. All new effects, all new stuff there. And then lastly, at least one of the biggest things that I've probably been requested for is the new solo mode. And basically how this works is on your turn, before you basically play any cards, you'll flip over the first card off this deck. And if this was the first card here, this is telling the player, the solo player, we'll just say myself, I cannot play any any cards or any adventurers in the Tundra realm here. All right, it's locked currently, and that's only for this my very next turn. Then its ability says it's going to gain 1 rank in the Wizards Guild, and then it's going to gain 1 flag in the dungeon, just like so. Anytime you see a blue flag, I should have mentioned this when I talked about the Aeromancer. I'm going to kind of scoot back here, but anytime you see a blue flag, that forces you to go up this time track. If I gain a red flag, I'm going to make that decision of either going up in the dungeon or up on the Overworld track. The Overworld track is persistent from round to round, where just like in the dungeon, at the end of every round, you'll always return back to the start. So you're kind of picking and choosing when to use those flags to go through the Overworld or go through the dungeon. But again, it just offers even more combos. All right, the next thing here for this solo card, the Communal Plague, basically this says I'm going to be placing darkness at the tavern. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to take one of these black darkness beads, and I'm going to place it here at the tavern. All right, one way the game will end, and we'll never play with the Last Fantasy expansion or the Overworld board. With a solo game, you're playing just the base game. That's it. And basically, once there are 1 darkness bead, basically anytime there's 1 darkness in every single one of these locations here, that is the end of the game. So you've got a total of 12 different spots, and once 12 of these darkness tokens have entered each one of these realms, the game immediately ends, and the darkness player wins. So how do we remove the darkness? Well, when I go to a spot, say I went to the tavern here, I can just take it just normal. I can, gain 1 flag, and then I can gain an adventure card. That would be fine. However, if I wanted to, I can instead lose 1 flag, basically losing a level. So if I had maybe level 4 in the dungeon, I can go back 1, and then I'm going to pay 1 adventure card. So instead of gaining the ability on the location itself, I have to then pay that. Well, how does that work for locations like the Ancient Ruins? Well, I'm just going to pay 1 food. So instead of paying a food for 4 mana, I'm going to be paying 1 food to just remove 1 darkness. So it's all about trying to play the darkness. It's a very difficult solo, and it's been very fun to play test, and Godspeed for anybody who goes through it. Darkness will never enter any of the guilds, so those are always there and always available for you to go into. And just like if you're playing multiple players, anytime the darkness would gain a crown in the guilds, they're going to go ahead and gain, victory points just like normal there. The game will also end just like normal if you or the darkness player will get 10 points. And then I do want to state that if you do decide to remove the darkness token here, it doesn't go back into the supply. It actually gets placed onto this card here. And you get to place it in any one of these 4 spots. And what these 4 spots mean is if I wanted to place it here, I'm saying that the darkness, the shadow here, is going to go up 1 spot in the dungeon there. And of course, if I place this here, it would go up 4 spots. Why would I want to go up 4 spots? Well, once this card is filled, I remove all of these darkness tokens, place it back into the supply, and I flip this over to face its final form. And now, if I place 2 tokens in each one of these spots, I'm going to gain, the shadow is going to gain a victory point if I place 2 tokens in a spot. However, if I can get all of these spots completely filled, 2 tokens each, I immediately win the game, as if I've just beat the final form and the solo. But again, it's a very difficult solo. It is definitely doable to do it, but very difficult, but very fun. And then with the solo, if I'm on level 1 monsters, I'm only going to flip 1 solo card. When I move to level 2 monsters, then 2 cards will get flipped. So the solo player will go, then I will go, then the solo player will go again, then I will go. And if I'm on level 3 monsters, yep, you guessed it, 3 cards will get flipped. So it becomes a lot more difficult as the game kind of goes on. So it's all about managing that darkness and trying to gain victory points. It's a lot of fun. And that's basically it. Again, the crowd sale is going to be going live hopefully July 1st if everything goes right. If you are interested in the game, this is the best time to get in on the game, because this is where you're going to get it the cheapest, and the more people who get involved will definitely be able to reduce that price even more, which is, well, beneficial for everybody. The base game, the time trigger, and the last fantasy will all be part of the crowd sale. So if you want to get all three of those, this is definitely the best time to do so. And other than that, again, tons of so much content now for this game. It's crazy. So get on the crowd sale. It's going to be July 1st, running from July 1st to July 15th, 2023. Get on it. Get you some. I'm sorry. All right, thanks. Bye.